Hello and welcome everyone. This is going to be a quick JD trade breakdown in 5 minutes or less. So right at the open on that whole move up off of the print line of 41.64, it was the substance on that bar was all selling. I mean, look at this. You know, on an up bar with the whole substance of that bar being selling and controlling selling above print personality off level, shorter term time frame type of prints. That tells us a lot. So, above 43, looking at, the reaction in terms of anything else that stands out, I mean, that in itself just tells us they're pushing this up to overall to build at this current moment on that position for them to overall make money on that position. Not too much buying here. I mean, 44.74, nothing really stands out above anything that changes the game plan of who's controlling the stock. That selling is no question controlling this stock. And then we push into 45. I mean, there's no aspirants at 43, no aspirants at 44, no aspirants at 45, right? Nothing on the ass side of things that came in that showed that they're looking to make money to the long side of things. The push of, above 43 there was no off-level accumulation shorter term that showed continuation to push. And then we ended up triggering right off of 45 with no prints there, 45 being a huge psychological level, keeping it conservative with the price target of 43 here. We end up, pulling back to that exact area of where that selling was, and then we end up getting a bounce off of that area of the 43. And okay, right. But looking at that after 10 a.m., looking at that volume, I mean, the volume dipped out quite a bit, and I mean, just in terms of accumulation and interest standpoint, definitely a dipped off, and then we ended up seeing a nice move off of that back to 45. And then we get a breakout to 48. But looking at the substance here, this is all substance. All these little short videos are going to be substance, and why substance is so important behind, what makes the chart, right? The chart can deceive us. So looking at the substance here, I mean, the foundation of this trade has been mainly selling, right? Even when we got that bounce off of 43, there wasn't any accumulation at the levels from 43 to 45 on the ass side of things. So it really shows that they're not loading up the boat for a long here. So what's the only other option if they're not loading a boat for a long to make it, break back above 45 is just to get that interest in for them to have an overall short. So which is interesting, was not in this long. There was no real reason for you to be long in this instance. It's not a number 4 trade where you had aspirants at 45, pulls back your calculated amount, and you take a trigger up. So it's not one of those cases because we didn't have any buying there. I got out of my short, once it broke back above 43 pit line. Was looking for, substance to show continuation to the downside, never got that, and then we ended up pushing above 43. So just looking at the substance, there wasn't really any, off-level accumulation. Anybody come in that showed that they're adamant about making money above 45, and we still got a breakout. I mean, volume came out pretty decently, but overall, I mean, the substance-wise, I mean, they showed what they can print right at the open. They showed what they can print. So if we don't see that in terms of the ask side of things, it doesn't show that they're really adamant about this long move. And I mean, the buying on this tape and the substance just truly isn't there until this point where we got 47 ask, and then it pulls back a little bit, and we got more 46 ask. Now, this is the most buying we've seen up until this point, right? And even these tell us that it needs to pull back to build. And then we ended up getting a breakout to 48, not printing at 48, and then triggering down from those. I mean, just truly their intentions were not behind that whole move really. In terms of them accumulating, foundation is definitely built off of selling. Just looking at the substance here, not quite anything that stands out. Ended up triggering off 48, came back to test that print line at 48, and then got rejected and came right back down. So it makes sense why we're coming back to 45 here, right? There's really nothing that showed that there was any smart money that had the intentions to make money long. I mean, look, it shows the ability to print. Like this point 12 shows the ability they can print at the off level. We just didn't see this type of print on the ass side on that whole way up. And if they're not looking to acquire on the whole way up, what's the whole intention of that move to break out is really to, set themselves up for the building period, gather interest for their overall short position. So yeah, just because the substance doesn't, match on this whole way up doesn't mean it can't continue. But overall, definitely has to come back to reality. And it being above 2 cycle levels as well, 45, 47, 50, the odds of this continuing to be an exception just truly wasn't there in terms of percentage. We would have seen the substance behind this whole move here to show this was going to be an exception to run a 50. And we would have seen the substance within this region as well to show that it was going to be an exception to 50. If this thing was going to run a 50, Do you think that this individual or this market maker that's controlling would, sell a good portion of the position on the open like that? And if it was going to run a 50, wouldn't they use the levels to acquire? Wouldn't they use 44, 45, 46, 47 to acquire to make that move to the upside? We didn't see any of that. So that really gives us, lets us dive into the market maker's intentions and mindset. And it's no surprise that we're back at 45. Realistically, this should come back to, 42 area, really. 43 pretty conservative. But that's kind of the short little breakdown I have. Substance matters, and 5, 6 minute quick trade breakdown. Enjoy, guys.